This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Listen, we're going to continue this journey that we're on together, gaining an understanding of our country. Our beautiful flag behind us represents the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. Our presidential seal reminds us to pray for our president, who is a busy man and getting a lot accomplished. So we're going to move forward because there's a lot going on. We've had our election. We've got our duly elected president who is busy getting this country on track. So there's a lot at stake. A lot of people are bucking. A lot of people are resisting. So we're going to talk about tonight the fact that leadership matters, their efforts to get this country on track, and so many dynamics are coming at our president from a different angle. We've got so many people in our country who are in recovery. I always want to refer to and recognize the 265,900,000 Americans who were living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet last year. Man, all of these dynamics that our president has set up, it is setting our nation up to be in the most powerful economic revival that we've ever seen. And we're seeing a revival in many other ways as well. And so with all of these dynamics, there are haters, and more people are getting the mindset of a solution-focused resolve. So why does leadership even matter? We're going to dissect that tonight. And from our clinical perspective, we're going to look at the role of a solution-focused resolve. Guys, our nation is in a position that we've never been in before. Oh yeah, America's not perfect. We know the history. We know it all. And we know that there's no perfect leader. But I'm going to tell you this, leadership matters. And also a solution-focused resolve with a united group of people can change the world. So we're going to dissect that. Let's look at that together. Why does leadership matter? Apple is bringing more of its operations back to our nation, announcing plans for a Texas factory dedicated to AI servers and a nationwide expansion of research and development jobs. The decision comes after President Trump established policies pushing companies to prioritize American manufacturing and reduce reliance on China. Now, we already know how he put pressure on them related to the tariffs. We already know that they've come to the table to do something different. We already know that there are 50 countries that want to talk to him. Listen, one of the countries, I think it was Italy, I think the president of Italy, one of those countries said, will you show us how to make our nation great? Oh yeah. So those kinds of dynamics are good for the world. Yes, they are. And so we have the truth of what happened when he went to the Middle East too. It was astounding. Walking away with $1.4 trillion commitment to go into our economy through the United Emirates, the United Arab Emirates. Yeah, all of these dynamics are going to change our nation. Can you imagine the jobs that will come forth? The positioning that we're in, and then we saw what happened in Qatar. We saw what happened over in Saudi Arabia. Guys, this stuff is amazing. Oh yeah, they committed $600 billion, and he encouraged them to increase it to $1 trillion. You think it may flow into that? Hey, it remains to be seen. But $600 billion is not a shabby job at all. All of this is related to us having leadership that matters. So here on the home front, President Trump is prioritizing American manufacturing. All of what went on in the Middle East is going to affect our bottom line here in America, American manufacturing, and it's going to reduce our reliance. It's going to reduce our reliance on China and strengthen alliances with world leaders. Now, let's look at the particulars of America, even more specifically. Apple said it plans to help bring online 250,000 square foot factory in Texas by next year, 2026, to build artificial intelligence servers, and it will add about 20,000 research and development jobs across our nation. Now, the company revealed its commitment to invest $500 billion in our country over the next 4 years, a move that follows President Trump's push for businesses to move production here, not somewhere else, not in China, not in wherever, stateside here. Apple CEO Tim Cook has already met with President Trump as Apple faces potential 10% tariffs. Listen, guys, if people do business here, they don't get the tariffs. There's an incentive. This is powerful. So Apple was facing a potential 10% tariff on products assembled in China. The company has previously sought tariff waivers, but with the administration focusing on boosting domestic industry here, Apple is making significant investments where? Right here in the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. So they have a new Houston facility. That's what they're going to establish. Apple's new Houston facility will span 250,000 square feet and focus on manufacturing servers used in its AI-driven cloud computing services. That's huge. Previously, these servers were produced outside the U.S., but Apple is now partnering with Foxconn to bring that work to the big state of Texas. I love Texas. That figure includes everything from purchases from U.S. suppliers to U.S. filming of television shows and movies for its Apple TV Plus service. The company has declined to say how much of the figure it is already planning to spend with its existing U.S. supply base, which includes firms such as Corning, which makes glass for iPhones in Kentucky. The company is also doubling its advanced manufacturing fund to $10 billion, guys, a move that will support American suppliers and manufacturing initiatives, including expanded chip production at Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company's Arizona facility. So we're talking about what's going on here in our nation. So these folk that are hating on our president and hating what they're seeing unfolding, listen, open your blinded eyes and see what God is doing in America. Oh yeah, he uses people with faults. He uses people with weaknesses. He uses you and I, and leadership matters. So thus, he's using our president. Now, that particular project that I just referred to, which began during President Trump's first term, aligns with the CHIPS Act's push to do what? Strengthen the United States semiconductor manufacturing. Now, another positive example of how leadership matters is what is going on with Japan, just to name a few. Their Prime Minister, Aishiba, pledged to boost Japan's investment in the United States to about $1 trillion. Oh, yeah. Prime Minister Aishiba had an in-person summit with Donald Trump, our president. Well, imagine that. What happened? During the meeting at the White House in Washington, Prime Minister Aishiba of Japan expressed Japan's intention to increase its imports of liquefied natural gas produced where? Right here in America. Regarding the pending acquisition of U.S. Steel Corporation by Nippon Steel Corporation, President Trump and the Prime Minister of Japan, these two leaders shared the view that this deal involves investment in the United States rather than being a takeover. They're investing. This is going to bless us. This is going to bring amazing jobs to us. This is going to cause our economy to thrive. And they agreed to work together to resolve the situation. I heard some people expressing some concerns about the president meeting with these people in the Middle East. Listen, peace through strength. Listen, what other leaders did in the past, what happened in the past, and all those issues, God uses people. He raises up people to have interactions to bring solution-focused resolve. All this brings us to the dynamics related to our clinical perspective tonight, guys. Having a solution-focused resolve, SFR. What would happen if we united as a nation to have solution-focused resolve? What would happen if we teach that to our children? What would happen if we teach that to our youth? Let's dissect this. There are three major principles with SFR, solution-focused resolve. The three major principles related to that are focusing on solutions, not what's wrong, but how can we put our brilliant minds together in this nation. China does it all the time. They're teaching little 3, 2, 3, 4-year-old children to have brilliant minds. What about if we made that shift here? I don't care about Democrat, Republican, Independent. I care about America and our posterity. That's my focus. I want to protect our children. I want to protect our girls. Everything I do is driven by that. My training as a teacher, school psychologist, licensed clinician, and all these things God has blessed me to do with 45 years of experience, to God be the glory. I want to pour what's in me into helping to promote what's going to make them prosperous, what's going to help our country, what's going to help our families. Get out of this stuff of all the bickering and hating. We've got a country to save. We've got children to save. So these principles of what I'm going to dissect now from a clinical perspective, remember, we wanted to provoke thought. Provoke thought. Yeah. Look at solutions and bring them to the table. What would happen if we started talking about these kinds of things in churches? What would happen? So, the principles of focusing on solutions, what does it highlight? Strengths and resources, and creating a vision of a preferred future. These principles guide us to guide and build on what is already working. Now, President Trump, the United States of America is a business. It is a business. It is we are the constitutional republic of the United States of America, and we have democratic principles that should guide what we do. But this is a business, and this is how this man is approaching this thing, and I love it. And look at all of what's happening, guys. And we're just months in. So, in a business context, a solution-focused approach encourages teams to prioritize identifying and implementing solutions rather than dwelling on problems, fostering a proactive and optimistic mindset for resolving challenges. That's how our president thinks. That's how he's trained and united his cabinet to think. Now, let's look at a more detailed explanation of how this approach works, even from a business perspective, and it affects families and affects our flow as a nation. What would happen if we focus on the future? See, this is how he thinks. He's executing our future to thrive, our children. I'm telling you what, if the man had his way, all of us would be millionaires. And there will be those that will emerge. Just watch what I'm saying. You're going to see it. What would happen if we, the citizens of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, who form a more perfect union, which simply means us flowing together as one? Listen, y'all naysayers, you can sit on the side and whine and moan and complain, or you can get on the train with us. There's plenty of room. I love saying that because it's true. What would happen if we, instead of dwelling on past failures or even we got problems, guys. Things are not perfect. But instead of focusing and dwelling on that, what would happen if we had a solution-focused thinking, emphasizing, envisioning desired outcomes and working towards them? What would happen if we focused on empowerment and collaboration? This approach empowers individuals, us as a nation, and teams to be encouraged to identify our strengths and resources to find solutions. What about short-term and action-oriented thinking? Solution-focused thinking often involves identifying quick wins, but the goal is for a long time projected path of success. But it involves taking small, manageable steps towards achieving larger goals. What about continuous improvement? What if we got in that mindset? By focusing on solutions, we can continuously improve our processes and outcomes, leading to greater success. Now, there are some questions to consider. If we teach our children and our youth and our nation, this is how our president thinks. You can jump on the train with us, but baby, there are those of us, we're running with this thing. Oh yeah, and it's not too late for you to get on the train with us, to get involved with us, for churches to start thinking this way instead of blasting him from your pulpits. Now, here's some questions. What are the first steps we can take to address this? You know, we got this issue going on. What can we do to address this issue with our youth, with our children, with our families, with addiction, with the P word that men, over 77% of Christian men are looking at these types of images every month? You think that is just once a month? Oh boy, this is an addictive process that affects the pleasure center in the brain, and it affects substances that people take into their body and images that they look at. It affects gambling. Listen, guys, we've got to go there as the church, or sit on the sideline and watch these people just cave in and implode to utter demise from the pulpit to the pew. People in the pulpit are dealing with this, and it goes all the way to the pew. And it's happening in our homes, our schools, everywhere. Y'all know the issues. But what about if we shift? That's what I'm about. from destruction to dignity. All of these things are destructive patterns, but we can execute a pattern of dignity. I've done it all my life professionally. I've done it in churches. I've done it personally. I've done it in families. Guys, we can do this thing. This is how our president thinks. So we can support him and undergird him as we do this on a macro level, a micro level, on so many levels, every level. What are the first steps that we can take to address what's going on? That's a question. Here's another question. We're talking about learning to think a certain way. What resources do we have available to us? What do we already have available to us? We can ask ourselves this: what have we learned from past successes? For that matter, what have we learned from past failures? Here's another question. How can we measure our progress towards the desired outcome? Now, there are benefits of having a solution-focused approach. We're talking about shifting gears. We're talking about leadership that matters. Our president thinks this way. What would happen if all the pastors got on the same page thinking this way? Families, this is how we talk. There's certain things we do on Marvelous Monday, Terrific Tuesday, Wonderful Wednesday, Tremendous Thursday, Fantastic Friday. The benefits of a solution-focused approach. We have improved problem solving by focusing on solutions. We can quickly identify and implement effective strategies to address the challenges. What's going to happen? We're going to have an enhanced collaboration. A solution-focused approach encourages what? Open communication, no bickering. If we've got differences, we talk it through. Open communication, open collaboration as teams. Teams, guys. Teams work together to find solution. What's going to happen when we have increased motivation and engagement? When we feel empowered and we have a clear path towards achieving goals, we're more likely to be motivated and engaged. I met a pastor here recently. They have set up lay counselors in their church where they're being supervised. These people are supervised, but they're having to double the number of people doing this in their church because members are broken and they cannot afford therapy. And I know of people that have set up things where their members have to pay $150 an hour to interact with people to get help in their church. So if they're interacting with people twice a month, that's $300 a month. They're paying tithes and offering, and they're having to pay that too. They don't have it. And I'm going to tell you what, when you're doing things and you're not under supervision and you open people up, there's huge liability involved. People have to be supervised. This church is set up strong supervision, strong structure, and the members get 10 sessions, 10 interactions, 10 face-to-face engagements, and it doesn't cost them a thin dime. That congregation is going to be healthy. That congregation is not going to be financially strapped. That congregation is going to be empowered. That is a solution-focused model. I'm impressed. So, wow, suppose we did that as a nation. Suppose we spread that kind of model in churches around the nation where it's not strapping people financially. They're not paying church staff $150, $200 to be engaging to sort out issues in their lives, guys. We're talking about an approach that we can do as a nation that's doable. Focus, strap. 265,900,000 people were living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet last year, guys. We're talking about focusing on immediate solutions. We're talking about a model that can change this nation. We can have faster results. Why? Money's not a problem. It's not a challenge. You're not opening up people, cracking them open, getting over in areas that you're not even equipped to handle. Trained, structured, supervised interactions. We can turn this country around. Oh, yes, we can. From destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. God wants us to be renewed in the spirit of our minds. We can achieve fast results and see tangible improvements in people's everyday functioning, in the performance of businesses, in the church operations, in the workplace. We can train people to have this solution-focused thinking, providing training, resources to help employees, families understand and apply this approach. We can encourage open communication and collaboration, create a culture. This is a culture, guys, where employees, families, churches are comfortable sharing ideas and working together to solve problems, and it doesn't cost a thin dime. Oh, yeah, to be able to get help. They can't afford it. There are not enough resources even out there right now. It's being built, but I'm telling you what, we have captive audiences every Sunday morning, and they're showing up and they need help. But we can implement a solution-focused model and structure and supervision that will take it to the next level. Ask me how I know. I know what I'm talking about. What would happen if we focus on these strengths and resources, helping our church members, our families, our employees, our teams to identify their strengths and resources and leverage it to find solutions? Setting clear goals and objectives are powerful. It ensures that everyone understands the desired outcome. We're all on the same page. It's okay to be on the same page about certain things and how they collaborate with leadership and with each other to achieve these goals, guys. And then what will we do? We will celebrate successes, acknowledge and celebrate successes, no matter how small, to reinforce positive behavior, encourage continuous improvement. Listen, Apple's nationwide expansion that we talked about earlier, it's going to include those 20,000 it's going to have 20,000 research and development jobs. Focus on AI, software engineering, and custom silicon production. Guys, we have our children that are empowered the way I'm talking about. We track them into educational tracks to be able to go in and be specifically trained. Look at the Caleb Hamptons, Patrick Hampton's boys, Caleb Hampton, Joshua Hampton, Israel, Noah. Those boys are being intentionally raised. You raise your children with intentionality. They will they'll be presidents running these kinds of outfits. The companies Apple, they're launching a manufacturing academy. You hear me? They're a manufacturing academy in Michigan to train small and mid-sized firms in advancing production techniques. We can track our children towards this, further reinforcing its commitment to domestic industry. This shift follows a broader trend of companies moving operations out of high-tax, high-regulation states like California and into business-friendly states like Texas. Tesla, SpaceX, and X have all relocated their headquarters to Texas, following policies that make the state more attractive for major tech investments. Same things happening here in Oklahoma. What have we looked at tonight? Guys, we've looked at leadership matters. We've looked at, from our clinical perspective, dissecting the dynamics of a solution focused resolve. Listen, we're going somewhere. It's expecting us when we get there. I've just laid out and poured out my heart tonight on aspects of how we can do things differently, guys. People are strapped financially. What are we going to say? Well, you can't get help because you don't have the money. Listen, I am thoroughly impressed with people that are coming to the table with a solution-focused resolve that focuses on our soul, our mind, our will, our emotions, our intellect, our drive, and our desires. Listen, keep coming back. We're going to dissect these things. We're going somewhere. It's expecting us when we get there. I am so excited because I count it a privilege to be able to contribute to this, just to provoke thought, bring awareness, and us together looking at interventions. Prayers and intervention, talking about solution-focused thinking, and problem-solving is another intervention. Listen, keep coming back. We're going somewhere. We're going together. Shout out to the people all around the world that are downloading the podcast. Thank you for the 1,320% growth of this podcast this year. A shout out to Africa, Australia, Singapore, Finland, Africa, the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, and the other countries that are coming on board as well. Listen, keep coming back. I will see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information.